What's going on, guys? My name is Hylor, and this is your complete faction guide to Total War Warhammer. The first faction we're going to talk about is the Empire. They're the first playable faction of actual humans in the game, while there are other humans in the actual lore of Warhammer itself. They're going to be the most balanced faction overall, and their playstyle is going to be very traditional to the Total War fashion. You're also going to have plenty of trade options, because there's going to be other human factions and dwarves that are going to be much more warm and receiving of trading with you compared to, say, if you're to play the Vampire or the Chaos. The Empire is going to have the most balanced army roster overall. They are going to have a specialization, though, in machines of war that they make, whether it be the steam tank or the fact that they have these massive rotating Gatling gun style cannons. The second faction are the Dwarfs. The Dwarfs are going to have a more traditional Total War style economy, but unlike the human factions, they're going to have a little less trade options considering that they tend to neighbor more aggressive factions. Their army style is much more defensive than the Empire faction. They're going to have much more heavily armored units, and those units are also going to have much higher morale because of just their stoutness of being a dwarf. On the other hand, though, they're not going to have any cavalry options, so their mobility is going to be very limited. So as a dwarf player, you're going to have to always try to figure out a way to destroy the mobility advantage that most of your enemies are going to have over you. To counter a lot of this lack of mobility, though, they've built up these great war machines, very similar to the Empire, but even more extravagant. They're known for their inventors, so they have things like gyrocopters and these massive cannons that can just absolutely annihilate enemy units from a long ways away. The other thing about the Dwarfs that you have to know about is the fact that they have what's called the Book of Grudges. So anytime any enemy faction pisses you off, that they break a trade agreement or they declare war on you or capture one of your cities, you're going to have a new grudge in your Book of Grudges. And so to be able to actually complete the campaign, you need to go and satisfy every single one of those grudges that are against you. The third faction are the Orcs and Goblins. This is probably the perfect mix between, say, the Empire faction and a more aggressive faction like the Chaos. They're still going to have an economy that is based on buildings and capturing different settlements and developing those areas, and you're still going to recruit from those areas, unlike, say, the Chaos Hordes. Unlike the Empire, though, a lot more of your income is going to be actually coming from looting, raising, sacking villages, and winning battles. The entire Greenskin or Orc and Goblin armies are all about fightiness, and this is an actual trait that they built into the game. So you want to always be at war, both to get money, but also to the fact that if you don't fight enough, then your guys will start fighting among themselves, and you will have attrition damage on your units. Goblins move faster, but suffer from much lower morale and combat stats. The Orcs, they're going to be much stronger in combat and are going to move a little bit slower. The fourth faction are the Vampires. The Vampires have a very similar economy to the humans and the Dwarf, but are going to be less focused on trade. Their territory tends to spread corruption slowly over the land, turning what were once green hills and meadows into just dead, barren wastelands. And the territory near their lands will slowly be corrupted as well, making public order a problem for their neighbors, thusly reflecting bad on the vampires themselves. The vampire armies have no range units, and so their focus is on numbers. They have plenty of strong hitting units in their roster, but a lot of their starting units are essentially cannon fodder. And since the vampires are actually necromancers and they use the undead to fight their battles, you will be able to summon the undead from the falling corpses of your enemy soldiers and have whole new units to fight the battle with. Although they don't have any ranged units, they do have some really great cavalry and some aerial units such as bats. You can use these units to be able to harass enemy units that are behind the front lines, so allowing you to not necessarily have to just take all of those shots from those pesky archers sitting behind the enemy's lines. The fifth and final faction are the Chaos. Now, Chaos you'll get if you pre-order the game or buy it within the first week of the game's launch. After that, you're going to have to buy it as DLC. The Chaos are probably one of the most well-known factions of Warhammer. Even if you don't know what Warhammer is, you've probably heard of the Chaos faction. The Chaos are going to have an economy that's similar to the Orcs, where warfare is just a way of life and looting is a necessity. Their infrastructure is attached to their armies because they move as hordes, and so to build buildings, you must enter this encampment stance. Almost all their buildings are focused on unit production and upgrades to those units. So playing as Chaos also means constant warfare to stay afloat monetarily. To grow your population, you need to raise settlements to take the population and corrupt them into your own followers. As a Chaos, you can only loot and raise, and in some cases, awaken a friendly tribe that will become your ally. The units of the Chaos are typically much heavier armor and slower moving. They have access to some of the most powerful units in the game, making their progression kind of a snowball effect. But their warlike nature means that they're going to be constantly at war that's going to be draining their reserves and their ability to upgrade and build units. The Chaos Hordes also don't get along, so armies that are too close to each other will have this red glow effect around them, showing that they're actually having infighting and killing one another, which is a style of attrition. So keep your armies separate from one another. If you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe down below or like this video. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can find the link in the description down below. Until next time, my name is Hylor, and I'll see you guys soon.